Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the studio. It is so good to chat with you. Happy Easter Monday. We're going to talk about everything these kids are learning in class this week. Let me jump over to YouTube really quick and just make sure that we are indeed streaming. Check. You're good. I realized also that I left all of my notes on my desk in the other room. So pardon me while I bring them up on my laptop. So I make sure that I don't forget anything. Hope everybody had a really great Easter. The weather turned out better than I thought it was going to be when I looked at the forecast, which was nice. Oops. All right. Perfect. So we're going to talk about what's going on in this first week of April. Everybody has class this week. Hang on, I have a graphic for that. There. Everybody has class this week. It is week 1 of April. I know it's a little late in April to feel like we're in week 1, right? It's already April 6th. But because last week was spring break, we went ahead and kind of took some of our off days last week. And so that's why that happens. We do manage to get all of our classes in before the end of April. We just won't have any off days before May starts. And then this is the beginning of the end, everybody. School year is ending and summer is ramping up. Actually, I just spent some time over the weekend putting all of fall 2026 on the website. So if you go now, the website is updated for fall classes instead of the spring semester classes. We are no longer taking new students for spring. So registration has closed. No more new students. The next time that you can join the studio will be September, which is crazy. But fall's all updated. Actually, like the Studio Club page is updated with the sneak peek top secret Studio Club t-shirt design for the fall. So, which is just nutty, but crazy, crazy how time flies. All right, so let's go over what's going on in classes, shall we? So in our preschool classes, in April, we explore fiber arts, we explore nature art, and we look at the art of Claude Monet. So this week, it's a little bit crazy. Both studios are going to be reading Have You Ever Seen a Flower? And the only thing that's going to switch is the arrival activity. So in our project time, we're going to be making potion perfume bottles that have a lot of like really great sensory input. So we use flowers, we use fruits, and we make perfumes in bottles. Kind of like think Mud Kitchen, only prettier. It has color and glitter and flowers and fruit. And we make these little perfume bottles. For the arrival activity, Liberty is going to be making prints on fabric using fresh flowers and hammers. So we take the flowers, pull the petals off, set them underneath an acrylic um, panel, and then pound on it with a rubber mallet, and it leaves a print on the fabric. For Platt Woods, they're going to be doing a flower still life warm up where they draw with chalk pastels, they draw the fresh flowers, and then we will switch. So next week, those arrival activities will switch, and that's just because we don't have 2 full sets of acrylic panels and hammers. Yeah. And we both have hammers, but we don't have that many rubber mallets. We have 12 between the two of us to share. So we just do that every year we flip flop. So we'll also read Duck Soup this month, and we'll read The Lumberjack's Beard, and we'll play with all sorts of things that are fibrous. In our K-3 classes, so multimedia is beginning Fiber Arts Month. They're going to be making these really like boho yarn woven wall hangings. So we have natural sticks between Miss Sarah and I. We collected enough. I got most of mine out of my yard. I think she went up to Watkins Mill. But we have natural sticks for them. And I'm sure that if you have been to the studio, you have seen this project because it is one of our favorites and we have done it many, many years and many, many like camps and art afternoons and summer programs and of course in Fiber Arts Month. Um, and it's a great project and it's so tactile and sensory and textured and lovely. I got to go to Hobby Lobby Friday and buy yarn, which is just amazing when you can just walk through the yarn aisle and touch it all and just buy like, ooh, this is pretty and throw it in the cart. So I bought a couple many $100s worth of yarn, and it just made my day. So we have a full restock of yarn, and the kids will get to cut yarn, and then I wish I brought one with me, but you loop the yarn over the stick, put the tails through, and pull it. So it's basically like a slip knot. We'll learn that technique this week. We're going to look at our art inspiration slideshow, and we will learn that technique and we'll learn how to tie like a square knot. We'll also practice maybe some braiding, some twisting, some weaving. And then as we get like later in the month, we'll learn things like how to make a pom-pom, how to make a tassel, and other elements that they can add to their kind of like boho weaving activity. So lots of fun stuff. For my older kids in multimedia class for their fiber arts month, they're doing something called needle felting. So I brought some stuff to show you so you can kind of see. Fourth and fifth grade and the homeschool classes are going to be felting on top of felt blanks. And so this is just a piece of felt, right, that we cut into like a bookmark shape. And this will be the base of their composition. They can either, when they're done with it, turn it into a bookmark. We have little like tassels that they can do. We also have buttons, and they can turn it into a cuff bracelet if they want to make wearable art. Um, so the base of this will be felt, and then they will do more felting on top. And somehow I forgot to bring the wool roving. That's okay. I did bring examples of felting. So this here is an example of felting, and it is obviously a representation of a picture. You can also do ones these are both landscapes. That one's a landscape. This one's kind of a seascape, right? And you can see the felting that happens. This was an example that I was doing on last Monday with some of our instructors who are newer to the studio and hadn't done felting. And you can see mine is just an abstract design, and I was playing around with it. And you lay the wool roving, which are like fibrous, um, cotton candy kind of fibers of wool, and you lay it in whatever design or application that you want, and then you stab it with a needle. I'll show you the needles because that I did bring you. And the needles are special felting needles. It doesn't work with just every needle. The felting needles are special because um, they have a like barbs, very, very, very tiny barbs. Like you can't see them in the needle, but if I run my fingers backwards on the needle, I can feel the barbs. It's not a smooth shaft. And when I stick this needle, here I put it in the little handle. So I take my felt. This is my felting pad. It's like a foam pad, and I put my wool roving down on it, and then I stab it with the needle. The barbs go into the wool fibers, and it tangles all of them up, and it embeds it into our felt. Okay, so they will get to make their whether it's a representational composition or whether it's just a fun design. Both are fine. And it's like painting with felt. It's kind of similar to like the collage projects that we did, except for now we're doing it without glue. We're going to use a needle in order to get it to stick, and we're going to use felt to do it. So they'll make whatever composition they want on their felt blank, and then later in the month we're going to do maybe some stitching, so they could learn a whip stitch around it. They could learn a running stitch. We've got some different buttons and embellishments that they can add to their composition as they explore fiber arts. So that is fourth and fifth and homeschool, the multimedia class. For our sixth, seventh, and our eighth, 12th multimedia class, oh, I should go back. Hang on really quick. So I showed all the project and I talked the whole time, but I didn't say what they were doing this week. So this week they're going to look at the art inspiration, which is what this is. This is the kind of synopsis of our slideshow as we look at different arts that is also fiber art, that is also felting, or also has the design application that we can discuss. Um, they'll look at this and they will learn needle felting. So we'll do some practicing, and we will learn all about it. We'll also talk through safety with the needles because they of course are sharp, and so we don't want people stabbing themselves. So we'll discuss how you handle the needles safely for yourself and then also for others. So if that's a problem, which it normally isn't, very, 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 very rarely do we ever have issues with our kiddos. But if it is a problem, we'll provide an alternative project for them. Okay. All right. So for our 6th, 7th, and our 8th, 12th, they are also doing needle felting, but instead of a 2D flat composition, they're going to be felting in 3D. And so these are examples of different felted sculptures. Um, they will be working small, so think smaller than a tennis ball, like ping pong ball size, miniatures. It takes a lot of that flossy, airy cotton candy wool roving. It takes a lot of it and a lot of stabbing in order to get it dense enough to stand on its own. And so it takes time. So we have to work on a smaller scale so we can finish in 4 hours. For a lot of our older kids, this is not the first time they've done needle felting. We have not done a 3-dimensional project in a couple of years, so I know they'll be excited to be able to build a sculpture of their choice using the wool roving. The wool roving comes in lots of different colors. They will build their sculpture in either black or white, and then we will top it with the colors as opposed to building the sculpture like for example this cute little chibi star right here. I'm sure this artist built the whole thing in pink wool roving. In our studio, if you were building this whole thing would be built in either a cream color or a black, because that's what I buy in bulk. And then on top of it is what they would cover with like a skin of the color. It's just I don't know what colors everybody's going to need in volume, so it's easy for me to buy. And because it takes so much of the roving, I buy a ton in black and white, and that way then I can just use the colors to go over top. So it just works better when you have 50 kids that you're working with. So that's their plan. They will start their sculptures this week because they're going to need all the time. It is a time intensive process, and there's no way around it. You just sit here and stab. Um, and I don't foresee it being a problem, but if it is an issue and kids struggle with the sharp instruments, we will provide an alternative fiber arts project for them. All right, for our creative explorations, their media focus is also fibers, and they will have the opportunity to explore the sticks and the yarn materials that we use for our K-3 multimedia projects. However they want to make that, whether they make the wall hanging, whether they wrap it, whatever they invent, maybe make God's eyes, I don't know. But there's all sorts of different ways they can explore that. Again, this is a child-led class, so there isn't necessarily a project in mind for them, but we do provide the materials. And then, of course, ideas or any guidance or instruction they need, but we don't come in with an idea. Our history focus is Claude Monet. Pull that from our preschool fundamentals curriculum because that is their artist of the month. And you can see it echoed down here in the sensory bin when we have a water lily sensory bin. Our collaborative vertical surface is a spray bottles and a stretch of fabric, so they can decorate that as opposed to butcher paper. Spray bottles will have a washable liquid watercolor in them. And then our still life drawing invitation is botanical illustrations. We'll have all those fresh flowers in the studio from the fundamentals classes. And so it's really great to pull those and use those as observational drawing subjects. And then for our journal invitation, that is not accurate. That's not it. Because that was last year, or last month. Well, let's see if I have it. Journal invitation is, okay, so that's what I messed up. Looked at my notes here. Okay, so still life invitation is flower bouquets. Journal invitation is botanical illustrations. That's where it was. I cut and paste this morning. Sorry, guys. All right, so creative explorations, your classes all meet this week, and then looking ahead at the schedule, my Friday people, you'll meet every Friday in April because we already took the first one off. For my Wednesday people out at Platte Woods, you're gonna meet this week, the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd. You'll have the 29th off for your off days. Drawing 101, I got nothing here to show you in terms of our pictures. This is our Remember in March, our slides all said like all drawing classes, we're back to everybody having their own slides so we can talk through what the lessons are. Showcase pieces look amazing. Can't wait to have you guys see them at the art show. We have some really, really talented drawers, and I know those kids worked so hard on those pictures. especially for some of our young ones, this is maybe the first time that they've really dedicated multiple hours to one drawing. And so it was fun to see it evolve and change as they put time into it. So for my Drawing 101 classes, they are going to be back to benchmarks. We did these in September, and so we're going to do them again now in April. That way we can see hopefully some sort of growth. Um, it doesn't always, it's not a linear thing, growth in drawing, but it's still growth. And so, and we're not necessarily looking for better, we're just looking for different and how are we seeing the world differently. So we're going to be doing a self-portrait with those thought bubbles, which is what we did for our first week in September, where we drew ourselves and then we drew thought bubbles above our heads and drew things that we love, things that we're thinking about, things that we're interested in. And it's this idea that we're more than just what we look like, right? Who we are is also all the ideas in our brain and things that we love and what we spend time doing. So we're gonna be drawing that. We'll use a lot of different drawing media. Our kids that have been with us for a while, they've had a chance to use all of the media, so they'll choose something different than they did in September when they hadn't had a chance to see everything and use everything. So it'll be fun to see what choices they make that is different from September. Now, if you haven't been here, maybe you started with us in January at the start of the semester. Maybe you started in November. I don't know, and you didn't have that benchmark. That's okay. This then becomes the new benchmark um, as we kind of work through our curriculum because you'll see it again in September. So for our 102 classes, when we look at advanced realistic, they are also going back to benchmarks and they will be doing those 3D forms in pencil or charcoal. So this is a review of the value scale. It is a technical drawing. Yay. This is a technical skill. Can you render at least 5 values using these tools? Can you get perspective right, viewpoint right? Can you get linear perspective rules right when we're drawing cubes, right? Can you get the relative scale right when we put the cylinder next to the sphere and see that it's half as high? Can you get the relative positioning right? All those things. So there's a lot of things we work at when we build a composition with these 3D forms, and it is a really, really, really great exercise for them. So again, if you have had this lesson before, I am a grown up and I benefit from doing this lesson. There is value to it. It is our weekly drawing workout and it will make us better. So we're going to be looking for all of those skills to be showcased in this drawing. Very different than what we did last month, where we were being creative and we were finalizing a drawing of our choice. We're back to more technical lessons here. So for our kids that had done the lesson before, say in September or even last April, we're looking for growth in those skills. And again, it's not always linear. Maybe you nailed the value scale and kind of flopped on linear perspective rules. That's okay. Like there's a lot going on in that drawing, and we're just looking for improvement. And so we'll do that lesson again, and then the whole month long will be the benchmark lessons from um, September. The only thing we changed, I think we pulled one from October, which is in October, we did the charcoal reductive drawings, which are so fun. Love them. So fun. So you'll see that one again this month. But instead of being bats, which is so October, it's nocturnal animals. So we kind of widen the subject, but you're still using the same techniques. That's the only change you'll see this month. Oh wait, I gotta go back. For our illustrative kiddos, they are doing their trains, cars, automobiles, planes, like mechanical lessons in drawing, right? Because we spend so much time on characters, but there are other things in our world that we have to be able to draw. They're going to start by learning how to draw some sort of automobile. It was pretty wide, whether it's a truck or a car or I don't know, a Jeep. It doesn't matter. But some sort of automobile, but in 3D. And so we're going to learn how to take that car, put it inside basically a cube, and then turn it in space. And so that's going to be this week's lesson. As we move forward with the lesson, we'll start making more design choices with that automobile. And then towards the end of the lesson, we anthropomorphize it and it becomes a character. So that is our illustrative month's focus. For our 103 classes, okay, here's where I have to go get notes because It's a new month, and I haven't memorized everything yet. And I wrote April's curriculum really early on in the semester. So, all right. 103 Advanced Realistic. Oh, it's last year's. I get it. Okay. They're doing a chalk pastel landscape, which near and dear to my heart, you guys. I draw chalk pastel landscapes pretty much monthly with my Creation Nation classes, and I love them. So they're doing a chalk pastel landscape, and they're going to use a reference photo. So they'll find their reference photo and then work to draw it on toned paper. We're really looking for these to be a complete composition where every bit of the paper is covered with chalk pastel. It has a light source, it has a lightness to it, has a painterly quality to it. Chalk pastels are a drawing application that look very painterly. Some people will even call them a chalk pastel painting. And we're looking for, values, of course, hues. We're looking for lights and darks and atmospheric perspective, which is the rules that as things get further away, they become lighter, less saturated, and more vague, and smaller. So we're looking for all of those things within their composition. In our, oops, didn't mean to do that. In our illustrative classes for Drawing 103 illustration, we are looking at the art of Frank Miller, who is a comic artist that used a lot of bold and high contrast art. And so they're going to be designing their original character and drawing it portrait or full body in the style of Frank Miller. We're going to be using Sumi ink for this one because Sumi ink is not a grayscale. It's black or it's paper. That's it. So we're going to use Sumi ink. We've got some calligraphy nibs for the kids to play with, as well as the brushes, of course, and then glass pens. So they'll use all those mark making tools to get that kind of rough, bold, edgy style of Frank Miller. All right, here we go. Housekeeping. So art show submissions, you guys, the deadline is this week. I know we've been saying like, oh, you have plenty of time. You have 3 days. That's it. Thursday, 9 p.m. That is the deadline for art shows. So please make sure that you get your artwork in. Remember, there's 2 steps. You have to fill out the form and you have to drop it by the studio. And the reason it's 9 p.m. is that's when the studios close. So at 9 p.m. on Thursday, I will close the form, and shortly thereafter, my teams at the buildings will lock their doors and go home. And that's it. There are no more submissions after that. And I will be working Thursday night late into the evening, probably until at least midnight, because I will get all those submissions downloaded, reformatted, and put into a program so that by Friday morning you have it in your inbox to proofread and say, yes, that's my kid's name. Yes, it's spelled right. Okay. And so we'll want to make sure that that you get your eyeballs on that on Thursday or on Friday, and then I will send it off to the printer. Okay. So there will be no more submissions after that. Please make sure you get your stuff in. All right, junior staff applications are due April 13th. Looking at the calendar, that's next Monday. Okay, so make sure that you get those in, and then we're going to start our interviews that week. And then just a reminder, no regular classes. So I've had a number of emails. I woke up this morning and checked emails. A number of emails like today that are like, "What's our last class?" So our last class is before Memorial Day. Our last like regular class, which puts everybody, if you're in drawing or multimedia, it puts everyone at 3 classes for the month of May. And then the week of Memorial Day, right? Monday is Memorial Day, and then the rest of the week. The week of Memorial Day, we have an open studio scheduled on Tuesday or Thursday. And so, similar to what we did for Christmas and Thanksgiving, it works the same way. Your 4th class is that open studio, and we'll just have signups where you can pick your time and come in. And it's just it's a fun class period. You can finish projects if you got projects. You can revisit lessons if you got lessons. And if you don't have anything to do, you can just come into the studio and hang out and make art with us. We'll have stations set up and things like that. So, all right. So just a reminder that there aren't any regular classes. If you're on monthly billing, your last billing is the 1st of May, and that's it. There is no more billing after that. And then we re-enroll for the fall semester starting in August. So the timeline is up on the website if you're interested in what happens for the fall. And if you're new here and you're like, or if you can't remember, that's fine too. About mid-June, we start talking about fall. 1st of July, we post the schedule for the 2026-27 school year. So you'll see the class schedule get posted at the same time that we post any tuition rate changes. And then you have pretty much the whole month of July to talk about it and think about what you want to sign up for. And then August 1st at 9 a.m. is when we open registration for everybody. So that's also when the t-shirt promo happens. So you can get your Orange Easel t-shirt on August 1st. And then we will enroll all of August. And then classes start. For most people, they will start after Labor Day, the exception being Monday drawing classes and Monday multimedia classes will start before Labor Day because we want to get you 4 classes in. Last year we were lucky and there were 5 Mondays in September, and so we didn't have to start classes in August, but not so much in 2026. So if you're in a Monday class in the fall, then you will start before Labor Day, and then you'll have Labor Day off, and then you'll come back for your second one. That's how that works. So yeah. So that's what's happening for the fall. Wow, that wasn't on my housekeeping, but fun things to talk about. And the t-shirt design is done, and it looks so good. All right, that's it, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week. If you need anything from me, let me know. Get your art stove stuff in, and